Pregame.com.
UFC returns to Brazil. I'm Vegas Runner here with Dustin. Going to break down the 134 card. Let's start off right with the main event. Anderson Silva, Yushin Okami. The last loss Silva faced was against Okami. That was the last time he suffered a loss in a fight he was winning, obviously.
And would have won. Yeah.
But it was an illegal kick. He was used to the pride rules, and he kicked him while he was down in the guard. Knocked him out, but he won the fight. Okami did, and this is more of a continuation, I think. Money's coming in on Silva since the line went up. All the books that I've spoken to so far said the line has not deterred the betting public. They keep betting Silva regardless of the price. He's got a huge fan base, and they wait for him to bet, and he's made it look so easy that the odds just aren't scaring anyone away. I've seen as high as minus 625 at Bodog. The Greek is still at 420, 480 he went to today. I just checked before we came on. It's now up to 480. So the line's going to keep climbing. What do you think?
Just what you said. It's just going to be a continuation. Silva's just going to, like you said, it was a technicality that he lost, and this is just going to be another, he's just going to continue his ass whooping from the last time they fought on Okami, So Okami doesn't have, he has the the Sonnen game, if you will, that style, but he doesn't have the Sonnen mind and the ability to do that. So I think it's going to be a little more competitive than people think it will be. It's not going to be a blowout, but Silva's going to take it.
I agree. I think Okami can make this a fight,
right?
Because he's a bigger man. I mean, he fought 205. Silva's gone up as well. Let's tell it like it is. But Okami's a big guy.
Right.
For a middleweight, he's huge. And he has Sonnen training him. Now, obviously, there's a difference between being Kale Sonnen and being trained by him and executing the game plan. That's the key. He could tell you everything about how to beat Anderson Silva, but you still got to go out there and execute it.
Absolutely.
The way to beat Silva is simple, but no one's been able to do it. You get in his face. You got to take two shots to land one. If you fight from the outside, he's just going to pick you apart. If you rush him, you're going to get kneed or elbowed. So you got to be able to just stand in front of him, clinch, try to wear him down, try to dirty box him, try to take him down. I mean, you just got to make it an ugly street brawl. Okami's earned this title shot.
Absolutely.
I mean, he's beaten whoever they've thrown in front of him. That's the bottom line. But I don't think he's busy enough to beat Anderson Silva. Silva's 35 right now. This will be his 14th fight in the UFC. He's 13-0. Okami's 30 years old, 10-2 in the UFC. So like I said, he's earned the right to face Anderson Silva. But I just don't see enough ways he could win this fight. I don't think he's going to win a decision in Brazil.
No, definitely no.
He won't be able to manhandle him to win a decision in Brazil. I don't think Silva will stand there where a knockout punch could end it. And I don't think he'll be able to ground and pound him. So I can't see ways that Okami wins this fight. I'd love to be able to grab the plus money because I think there's value, but I just don't see ways that he could beat Silva. But with that said, I can't lay this price on Anderson Silva. No chance at all.
No, this is just a watch him fight,
Yeah, I think Okami it has some value, but again, I just don't see enough ways for him to get the W to make me want to say, you know what, I'll grab that value.
Right. No, and I agree because they're in Brazil, so not only will Silva be more up for this fight, but of course he's trying to avenge his only defeat, what people say, but you're in his hometown. He's not going to, Silva, yes, he may have looked lackluster in other fights, but I don't believe we're going to see a lackluster Silva in this fight. I think we're going to see an attacking Silva. Silva's going to be coming forward and looking for, a spectacular finish, be it a submission or which is I think is more likely, or a knockout. I think more likely it's going to be a submission, but like you said, Silva wins.
Silva wins, but I'll tell you what, I'm going to be cheering in for Okami. I'll tell you the truth. I will, and I won't be surprised if I toss $1 or $2 on him.
Why not, right? Yeah.
Just because the value's there. And 3 of the last 4 losses suffered by Silva have come to the hands of a Japanese fighter.
Well, yeah.
Just throwing it out there, brother. Just tossing it out there.
I don't put no chalk in that.
Just tossing it out there. I'm going to say that the layoff for Okami, he's off since November, is the only reason I won't grab that price and make it a free play.
And he wasn't injured.
Exactly.
He's just been waiting for this fight.
Exactly.
And that's why I think that's going to hurt him more too. Because he's been waiting, he's going to have the rust.
I can't make it a free play right now, but I'm cheering in for Okami, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
But Silva should win this fight. Let's go to the next one. This is a great fight.
I agree.
This is the second time. This is another rematch. Shogun against Forrest Griffin. Griffin wasn't supposed to win the first fight.
Right.
It was Shogun's entrance to the UFC. He was a big favorite. He was just supposed to beat up a name like Forrest and work his way up. He was more or less the world champ without a title at the time. Being hyped as he's the best on the planet at that weight class at the time. He's a -280 favorite against a guy who's already beaten him. And I don't think Griffin just beat him. I think he pretty much dominated him later in the fight. Like, as Shogun's started wearing down, Griffin, his gas tank just totally took over the fight. And he dominated. He submitted
I agree.
Shogun. But now Shogun's almost a 3-1 favorite. Is that, does that represent what the true odds are? Is that inflated price just because they're in Brazil? Or is it just hype? What do you think?
I think this is more about what have you done for me lately hype, So Griffin's been out, nursing an injury. He fought in February, I believe it was the last one. And Rua just came off of a fight against John Jones.
A beating at the hands of John Jones.
But I will say this, in Rua's defense, anybody else that night, Rua beats him that night. Rua still looked really good in that fight.
Yeah.
John Jones is just an exception.
He beat him down.
Oh, absolutely. But
Rua's fight was tapping good, from strikes.
Oh, for sure.
He was
didn't want
to.
But
do you think that'll linger? I'll tell you what. Once you get beat up that badly, your next fight now facing a guy who's already beaten you, mentally, do you think who is ready for this?
Absolutely. There's no shame in his last loss against John Jones.
No,
I don't give him
everybody.
Exactly. So and Rua didn't look bad. I didn't think he looked bad at all in that defeat. He still was game in that fight. Yes, he was dominated, whatnot, but John Jones is just a freak of nature at this division. But no, if anything, this is a whole different fight, whole different type. I think the odds are a little higher than they should be. They're giving him a little 3-1 is a little steep because of the past history, but I think I still think this is Rua's fight to lose.
I'll tell you what, we disagree here. I like Forrest again. I really do. Reason's simple. Not just because he already beat him, but I think he has the blueprint to beat him again. The way you beat Shogun is not to go backwards. He has from the Shoot Box Academy. He comes full force. Anyone that he's forced to go backwards, he's knocked out. He's destroyed. That's how he, finishes guys, by overwhelming them. Forrest has that long reach, and he's got that deceptive style where he could move laterally, and he could create angles. And I think that's gonna give problems to Shogun again. How I think this is going to go down is I think Forrest doesn't make it a brawl, doesn't make it a street fight. If he does, he's in trouble. But instead, I think what Forrest is going to do, he's going to stay outside, he's going to land, and then he's going to use the takedown. Shogun's takedown defense is only 12%. He's terrible at stopping takedowns. When you look at Forrest, his takedown defense 63%. He stuffs you.
But he's a wrestler.
So I don't think Shogun's going to go for the takedown with Griffin. I think Shogun wants to brawl. He wants to make this a street fight and use that shoot boxing style and just overwhelm Forrest. But he wasn't able to do it in their first fight. I don't see why he's going to be able to do it in their second fight. I see what you're saying. The layoff, since February, which isn't a long layoff, but the injury is what the concern is.
And it's in the leg too. And Griffin is a leg kicker. He uses his leg. He's kicking calcified shins on Rua. So I don't know. I mean, I'm sure he's fine. They wouldn't put him into the fight if he wasn't clear and everything was great. But I still think that their first fight, Rua's been nursing injuries. When he first came into the UFC, he was nursing injuries, and he still had to adapt to the UFC style of fighting.
Yeah, he's only 3-3 in the UFC.
Right.
Forrest has gone 9-4.
Right.
He wins.
Exactly.
The guy wins. When he's not supposed to win, he wins fights.
But the thing is with this is that I think the experience. Now I say experience because Rua's been doing it longer, obviously. I think that with Shogun, he's 100% now, man. I still think when he first entered UFC, he's been his losses.
I'm a big fan of Shogun.
Me too.
Me, I love
Forrest. Don't get me wrong, his cardio is incredible.
I'm a big fan. I just think you give me plus 220, plus 230 with Forrest, and I can't turn that away. In fact, I know you like Shogun. That's your play. I'm giving this as a free play, and I may be able to bump it up to a premium. I'm going to do that on Twitter on Saturday, so follow me at Vegas Runner on Twitter. Day of the fight, always pass along all the premiums for free if I haven't confirmed yet. Still waiting for the weigh-ins. But as of right now, Forrest is the only way I'm looking.
But there's one thing I'll leave you with, and we can go to the next one.
Give it to me.
All right? They're in Brazil. Griffin is going to Brazil.
I hear you.
Time changes, culture changes, food changes, everything. So... And I know he's probably already been there for a week already. Probably has been getting acclimated. But Rua didn't have to go anywhere. So keep that in mind.
I think he thrives on that. I think
he does.
Forrest is going to thrive on that.
But, you're going into a foreign...
it for this guy. But he's just that kind of guy.
But you got to think about is that you're fighting in Rua's...
I hear you. They're going to be going nuts.
They're going to be so up, and the stadium is going to be jumping. So
I agree.
That's what gives me positive.
He's the better striker. I just think his takedown defense will be his weakness, and because of that, I think Griffin is able to steal a decision in his backyard.
That's a bold statement.
Be able to get that decision in his backyard by winning the takedown battle and being the busier guy. But we'll see. Move on to the next one. This is a good fight. Brendan Schaub, Antonio Nogueira. Here's the funny thing. I'm watching Randy Couture's breakdown of this fight.
Yeah.
And here's what Couture says. I'm going to take the dog in this one. I'm going to go with Brendan Schaub, the underdog. Now this tells you how little some of these fighters understand how the betting market works. Schaub's a 3-1 favorite. And yet Randy Couture, the legend, went out on a limb and said, I'm going to take the dog in this one, who's now a minus 280, 300 favorite over Nogueira. Nogueira off 18 months.
Which is huge.
Schaub, highly touted by the UFC. I'm trying to find out the politics about this fight, if the UFC's upset with Nogueira, because this is to present Schaub. This is to hype Schaub up.
Absolutely.
This is to make Schaub a contender. Let's tell it like it is.
That's right.
Since losing to Roy Nelson, they've been putting him in against legends that are on the decline. And that's what they're doing in this fight against Nogueira. He's a guy off 18 months, had 2 surgeries. We know his chin isn't the same. He's been in way too many wars. He's only 3-2 in the UFC. And he's fighting a kid who's young, even though he's only fought for 3 years. He's an ex-football player, so he's got athletic ability. And the UFC's letting him train with the best guys they have. So, he's being bred to be a contender. Do you think at minus 280, 300, it's deserving?
18 months and 2 surgeries, yeah, it probably is. When you think about it, and age, and on top of that, Nogueira's age, you have to factor that as well. Can he go three hard rounds against a young lion who's looking to make his name?
With quick hands. Schaub's hand
and
speed,
power.
His hand speed is huge.
It's good. Yeah, it's very good.
And he's got some power.
So, yeah, I think the odds are definitely, I think they're right on this fight because why else would they make this fight? Like you said.
I lean Schaub too. I wish I could take Nogueira because he's given us so many good fights and he's always in there because of his great ground game. And I think Schaub, if he hurts Nogueira, will take him down.
Yeah.
I think his ego
will ground out.
He wants to show that he could fight on the ground. We all know he could box. We all know he has power. We all know he has hand speed. But he's been talking and training on the ground. It's all about jiu-jitsu right now. He stayed in Brazil for 9 days. He's, that's his focus, the jiu-jitsu game. I really think he tries to make a statement and gets on the ground with Nogueira. I think that's where it could get dangerous for him. That's where he'll give Nogueira a shot, because this guy can catch you. If anyone can catch you, it's Nogueira.
Absolutely.
If I was his handlers, his trainers, I'd say make it an easy fight. Use your hands. Just finish the old man off. He can't take a punch no more. He's too slow. Doesn't have the gas tank. Off 2 surgeries, like you said. But I think the young kid's ego gets in the way, and he tries to finish him on the ground via ground and pound stoppage, via submission even, to really catapult his career. And that's where I think it could get dangerous. That's why I'm not willing to lay minus 300 on Schaub. I think you're betting potential more than results, because he hasn't fought anybody. He beat Crow Cop. We've all seen what Crow Cop's done since coming to the UFC.
Nothing.
He lost to Roy Nelson.
Right.
In between those guys, it was nobody.
Nobody's, yeah.
Exactly. And now he's fighting Nogueira. So I can't justify laying the 300 on Schaub. I can't take the plus money on Nogueira either, but I think Schaub does get the win in the end. But
I think Schaub. I hope you're wrong that he doesn't go to the ground with Nogueira, because you're absolutely right. That's the most dangerous thing. 9 days in Brazil, you're not going to be a world class.
Against the guy one of the best on the planet.
Who's born with it. Hopefully, what I hope that Schaub's handlers will tell him that. Go for the knockout. Knockout would be more impressive. So go for the knockout. Stand up, keep it stand up, and knock him out. So, because I think he's ready to go. So.
I agree. I totally agree. Let's move on to the next fight. This one's, I can't wait to see this one. Edson Barboza, Ross Pearson.
Yeah.
Barboza's a big favorite. I mean, there's a lot of hype behind him. He's fighting in his hometown. This is a strike fest.
Absolutely. Pearson doesn't know any other way.
Pearson's going to stand there and box.
Right.
Barboza has no problems doing the same. Obviously, he's Brazilian, so his ground game has to be there somewhere. But he likes to throw. Now, they're 2 different strikers. I think Ross Pearson's more of a boxer, technical boxer, and Barboza's more of a power and speed guy, more impressive, more athletic.
Technical.
Exactly. But at the end of the day, minus 300, what do you think?
Well, I can't lay the chalk on it for sure, because Pearson has power, but this is Barboza knockout, man. That's why else would they make this fight? Pearson doesn't have a great chin. Everyone knows that. This is
he's got good. His strike defense isn't bad.
Right.
He's got good strike defense. Pearson, and I think that will make it more interesting. He's not that easy to hit. He is a good boxer. He's a good striker.
He's got the technical.
Exactly. But I think you're right. Barboza's just too fast, too powerful.
And he's fighting at home.
Styles make fights.
Right.
And stylistically, I give a big advantage to Barboza. That's the side I like in this fight. Again, will I lay minus 300 on him? I'm not. He's only 2-0 in the UFC. I'm not convinced to lay 200 on him. So I'm not going to do that. But I definitely, my opinion is Barboza gets this win.
Yeah, I think it's a status fight here just to promote it, get Barboza more hype.
Yeah, exactly. Next one, Louis Kane, Stanislav Nedkov. Great. I can't wait to see this one too.
I'm excited.
This is a great card to watch, not that great to bet. You may be better off betting dogs, every dog.
And just hoping.
And hope you cash some tickets and come out ahead, because there are such chalk on this card.
Absolutely.
I really think that may be the best way to go. It isn't the best betting card I've seen, but I can't wait to watch it as a fan. But as a bettor, I like this fight. Kane is minus 210 against Nedkov. This is Nedkov's first UFC fight. Kane, 4-3 in the UFC. You know what he's going to try to do. There's no secrets with him. I think that the question is, what's Nedkov bring? Myself, I know this much. He's Bulgarian.
Right.
I've been to Bulgaria. That's a whole other video in itself. But I've been to Sofia, Bulgaria. Novotel Europa is where I stayed, that hotel. It's a casino. And you got to be pretty damn tough to come out of that town, I'll tell you that much. So this kid's pedigree is definitely tough. He's a wrestler, everything I've heard. He's got very good wrestling.
And
he's
he
got
can throw.
He's got good power.
Yeah.
And I heard he can take a punch.
Yeah. It's Bulgarian.
Kane's going to have to stuff his takedowns. I don't know if he can do that for 3 rounds.
I don't believe he can. So there's no way I don't think he can. Nedkov, this is a welcome to the UFC for Nedkov, so.
And no one knows him. I think that's the only reason you're getting almost 2-to-1 money on him, because he hasn't fought in the UFC. Nobody knows this kid. Mm-hmm. And Kane does have a backing. He's 3-2 there in the UFC. I like Nedkov in this.
Me too.
I mean, that's another free play. See if I could confirm as a premium, but I like the plus 200 on Nedkov. I think he's got a legitimate shot of winning this inside of the 3 rounds. I think he takes him down, and I think he beats him.
I just hope that because this is Nedkov's, this is a huge stage for him. So this is where it gives me pause in this, because he's never been on this level of fighting. And on top of that, you're in Brazil.
Yeah.
And all of these fans are going to be screaming. This place is going to be deafening, especially when you're in the middle of the ring and you're listening and you can barely hear yourself, So hopefully he can manage that adrenaline, that rush. But I think he does. And I think we were going to see a KO for here too. Spectacular.
Quickly, the final fight, Tavares, Spencer Fisher, another exciting bout. Tavares a 2-to-1 favorite, already minus 240 at the Greek. Spencer Fisher, everybody knows him. He's given us years of fighting.
Yeah.
But he's 35.
Yeah.
He's 35 years old. This is his 16th fight in the UFC. Are his best days behind him?
Absolutely. Yeah, I don't think we're going to see a Lytle, the last go, so not in this case, no.
I have to agree with you. I think for Tavares, it's this. He's been working on his striking to get his takedowns.
Right.
He's not going to try to box anybody or finish them standing. His goal is to become a more efficient striker so he could use that to take you down. I think that's been the biggest problems for Fisher when he gets taken down.
He doesn't know what to do, it looks like.
Exactly. If he's got a puncher's chance because he could brawl. He's not afraid to throw punches. You saw him against Ross Pearson. He just wasn't busy enough. He's older now. And for him, that was a great matchup. It was a stand-up fight. That's what convinced me to lean Tavares in this one, that he couldn't beat Ross Pearson, who was a perfect stylistic fight for him. It was a stand-up. He didn't have to worry about being taken down.
Right.
But he
still couldn't do it.
Exactly.
Yeah. So.
Where against Tavares, he's going to take you down. It's just a matter of time. And I think that's where he's worth the minus 200.
And I've heard Tavares has been working on that stand-up game as well. So don't be surprised if maybe we see a Tavares knockout.
Yeah,
maybe because you think
he's a big guy.
Fisher's going to be looking for a takedown because that's what Tavares' game is. But be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if Tavares knocks him out.
Yeah, I'm not jumping out there to lay the 200 to 240.
Yeah.
But I that's the side I lean. I wish I could jump out and say I want to back all these dogs. But as of now, like the 2 dogs that jump out at me, Griffin, Nedkov.
I like Nedkov.
You don't agree with Griffin.
I don't like Griffin, yeah.
There is a good undercard on this one as well. I'm going to pass along what I can via Twitter at Vegas Runner the day of the fight, and any premiums will be there for free. 29-13 in MMA and boxing this year. Going to try to do what we could as far as confirmations go. But that's who I like in UFC 134. You know who Dustin likes in UFC 134. We'll be watching this one together. You guys enjoy the fight.